All right, we are live with another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host as usual, Sean, and I'm here with P. Bush and Zoo. How you guys doing?
Doing all right, man. Just came off an intramural volleyball championship, repping Chicago. Had to
Nice.
get out there and have a good time before we jump into a little NBA topics. So it's been a good week, man.
Oh yeah, the NBA Finals looking beautiful again. Giannis putting up some superstar performances, man. Even though he can't shoot, he could get dunks, man.
Oh yeah, finds a
point
way.
Blank range, point blank range for Giannis. But we're gonna get into that. Right now the game is actually on. Bucks versus the Suns, Game 4, kind of a pivotal game for the Bucks if they want to stay in the series. But actually, it started in Game 2 with Giannis and his just 40-point, 10-plus rebound games that he put up. Just incredible, considering, like Zeus said, can't shoot worth a lick, not really a good free throw shooter. So a lot of his points have been on 2-point shots. And I kind of wanted to ask the guys their thoughts on this series so far, Giannis' performance, and how they see the series going. And P-Bush, I'm going to start with you, man.
Man, I mean, we kind of talked about Game 1 last week, but Game 2 was tough, man. Giannis doing his thing completely. I mean, he just ran the show. 40 plus minutes, 40 plus points. I think around 12 rebounds, could be a bit more than that. But man, just I don't know what's going on with Middleton and Holiday there, but the inconsistency in the gameplay is just I don't know if they're getting the jitters. I mean, they've both shown up in big moments. I know Drew Holiday's stats overall haven't shown to be that promising this postseason, but he's hit some big shots for them in multiple games. And Chris Middleton's done his thing, carried him a little bit there when Giannis was out. So, it's tough to watch, especially in Game 2, just because of how well Giannis played, because he is somehow, I mean, as you guys have both mentioned, he can't shoot a lick, man, and he just finds a way to score 40. And he's doing it efficiently, and he's keeping his team in the game. I think they do need to step up the defensive end. I know that they kind of rebounded on that, pun intended, obviously, in Game 3 and just blew the Suns out. But, Game 2 was a bit of a scare for me, them going down 2-0. But, hey, they're fighting back, and this is, like you said, Sean, pivotal Game 4 coming up. So the two other stars on their team that are making way too much money for the gameplay that they've been having, they need to step up. They need to be the ones to take the load off of Giannis, or else this series is gonna be over for the Bucks. So I don't know about that, Zoo. I don't know about.
You read my mind, man. Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, combined to make over $70 million a year, and they have been role player consistency, man. Yep. You have good games and then you have a bad game, good or bad. Like, there's a reason why these guys are not perennial all-stars. Because they have off games. They don't show up every night. It's like every other game or every 2 games they have a good game, especially Chris Middleton, because when he shows up, he plays like a superstar. When he doesn't show up, he plays like a bum. Like, he doesn't have any middle game. He doesn't get like 20 consistently.
And his name's Middleton. Come on. Have a bit of middle ground.
Man, he got no middle ground, man. He got highs and lows, and what Giannis is doing. Like, shout outs to DeAndre Ayton, because he's the only guy that can guard Giannis. He's done a terrific job holding him less than 50% shooting from the field. And when you limit Giannis 50% from the field, those are dunks and layups that he's contesting. Like, he ain't jacking up shots. And DeAndre Ayton's defense, and when he got into foul trouble, you got smaller guys like Jay Crowder and like Mikal Bridges guarding Giannis, who's a 6'11". So, like, Giannis pretty much playing power forward center now in this series. And he has been dominant at that position. And the Suns got nobody outside of Ayton to guard him. The problem is, if Ayton gets in foul trouble, they're screwed because they don't have a true center off the bench. Like, without Dario Saric, who's more of a power forward, a tweener, he's out with an ACL injury. They don't have a true backup. Like, who's their backup? Like, they don't have a backup big man to play defense. Like, who is it? There's nobody. So, like, DeAndre Ayton's probably the most irreplaceable player on the Suns team because they don't have a true backup to back up DeAndre Ayton. And if DeAndre Ayton's guarding Giannis, he's going to foul him a bunch of times in the and send him to the free throw line because this guy just camps in the paint. And Giannis has been playing a lot better when he decided not to shoot 3-point shots and not to shoot his mid-ranges and jacking them up because every time he shoots those shots, you're letting the defense off the hook. And he got to be attacking. Like, if Giannis not attacking, he's irrelevant. But when he's attacking, he's putting up Shaq numbers, man. Like the 40 and 10 games, like, it hasn't been done since like Shaquille O'Neal, back-to-back 40-point games, LeBron James and Shaquille O'Neal. like Giannis has joined that group. Historically, what he's done in the last 2 games has been historically great. And it was such a wasted effort that game 2 that they weren't able to get a W because no teammates showed up for Giannis. Like, it was Giannis and a bunch of nobodies. So right now, Giannis got to be dominant, and he needs to set 2 other complimentary guys to step it up. I ain't calling them stars. I'm just calling them complimentary starters now, man. They don't deserve the star name because they haven't showed up. They get star money, but they're playing like starters, not even great starters, average starters.
Yeah. Well, Zoo, I thought you brought up a good point there because, Ayton being the most irreplaceable player on their team right now in this series, right? Obviously, Chris Paul's been the most pivotal player on this team. It brought them to where they are. If the Suns win, right, they will be the team with the worst preseason odds to ever win a championship to come out on top. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't think people thought that they could turn this around within 1 year, maybe in like a 2-year span if he would have stayed and, taken the player option. But Zoo, back to your point about Ayton real quick, is the Suns are kind of in a rock and a hard place having him guard Giannis because you got to foul him and make him go to the line. But if Ayton racks up too many fouls, you got nobody behind him, as you said. So, how do you play it? That's why they just got to get good contests up, try the double team. Giannis is so shifty. He just works right around it. We saw that multiple times, and he's somehow at the elbow, and then he's at the rim in like half a second. So I agree, Zoo. They got to continue to play Ayton aggressively, but keeping in mind that they don't have Saric, who is not the best person to be guarding Giannis if he was healthy. I don't think we're saying that he would be, but they don't even have an average backup. Right?
Yeah, backup. I remember now. Frank Kaminsky.
There you go.
There's a reason why I forgot his name. Frank Kaminsky.
Another tweener though too. He would get roasted. He doesn't have the lateral quickness. I don't think he does, at least. And as we mentioned, I think
Frank doesn't even think he got the lateral quickness, man.
Yeah, and we said last week that Ayton is extremely talented on his perimeter, and the help defense right on the perimeter and all that. So of all the big men that I could put up against, if you're talking pure centers against Giannis, I think Ayton might be your best option in the league to play him. But it's still a tough task. Giannis is averaging 40 and 11 right now in the past couple games, and he's off to, I think, a double-double start almost nearly already. So he's got 8 and 6 right now in Game 4. So he's well on his way to have another nice game, another nice double-double.
And what surprised me most was his free throw shooting, man.
Yeah.
He was it actually looked decent for once, man. He shot it with confidence. He didn't shoot it with like 12 seconds on him. Like he actually shot it decently quick. I don't know, he got in rhythm at home. Nobody's doing the 1, 2, 3 chanting because you don't want.
They're a little fast. Yeah, they're a little fast,
Yeah. Oh man, no chanting for Giannis. He actually got in rhythm and was draining them with confidence. That ain't gonna last though because he's a broken free throw shooter, and especially when he goes back on the road.
Yep.
They're going to do the chanting. It's going to get in his head again. He's an awful free throw shooter. And I think on the road, he's going to struggle even more. So, my, oh, my. Like, Giannis at the free throw. Like, yeah. Like, right now, like, Giannis needs to get it done at home. Yep. Like, home court has never mattered more in the playoffs instead of right now because of this free throw shooting. Because it's in his head because Giannis shouldn't be that bad at the free throw line. Shooting
that bad.
Yeah, less than 50% shooting, man. Like, that's embarrassing. Like,
he should be at mid-60s.
Yeah, Shaq level right now. Like, you're at Shaq level, so you got to step it up. But my, oh my, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the least skilled shooter ever, is balling right now. I got to give him props for that, man. He's killing it right now. If he wins a title this year, man, wow.
Puts in a different stratosphere.
Back to back for the brothers.
Mm-hmm. All right. Actually, I forgot the other Laker brother or the other guy was on it.
You got a ring first, man.
But you know what I go back to?
For him.
You know what I'm going to go back to is if you go back to the draft, and I don't know how it would affect the finals, right? But the Phoenix Suns had a draft because I just looked it up. They had a guy named Jalen Smith. He's like a stretch big, right? Shoots a bunch of threes. I think he's from like Maryland. They had a chance to get Tyrese Halliburton. Could you imagine if they had him? I think the series is still playing out how it's playing out, but I think in terms of you guys is talking about how there's no one behind Ayton. Well, I feel like, say for instance, Dario Saric still gets hurt. He was already on the team. If they had another playmaking guard to help out Booker and Paul, I think by this time you had 3 guards, and I feel like even though I'm not saying Kaminsky is like this guy that can give you some really solid numbers off the bench, but I think he could be helped by another playmaking guard. Plus, that probably would have helped Chris out with rest and things like that. And I don't know if Campaign would have had the chance to break out. I mean, if you want to argue Campaign might have been better than Tyrese this year, who knows? But I think that was a big factor because they drafted a big guy who's not like a traditional big, but he's a big guy that could have played behind Ayton to just eat up those minutes. And I mean, I don't know if he's in the G League or he's just on the end of the bench, but that's really kind of that might be a reason if like the Bucks win. That's a huge reason. They have nobody to help DeAndre defend Giannis. It's hard for DeAndre to defend Giannis. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you because you want to foul him, right? Mm-hmm. You want to foul him once in a while to make him get to the line, but honestly, we're not watching the game live right now. At least I don't have it on. I'm just monitoring the score. But if I was them at home, I would not be fouling Giannis. To be completely honest, he's hitting his free throws in Milwaukee, so I would just have Ayton put massive pressure on him, force him to take tough shots, and just try not to allow any dunks. Because at the end of the day, if you can force him to take his little hook shot, his makeshift hook shot he's kind of patented his own little move there. It's no Kareem-esque, right? But hey, it works for him. So, he's putting up 40 a game, so I can't hate. But Sean, that's a great point. I don't think Halliburton would have broken out the way he did just playing on a Kings team that was just kind of a blank slate. That's why he was able to really make a nice showing out this year. But if he was on the Suns, hell yeah. I mean, they would have a great bench, man. They would have one of the best benches in the league if he was coming off of it. And he was playing at the level that we saw him play this past year as a rookie. Yeah. So, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, of course. I know Saric could end up being a bigger injury than we expected, the effects of it. But at the same time, you got to work with what you got. And if you're working with Ayton, then you're doing just fine, I think, especially, since they were able to take the first two. That was big. But I think we all thought that Milwaukee would make the comeback in Milwaukee. That was really it was going to be a home court advantage type series. We knew that from the start, especially mainly because of Giannis's gameplay and the pressure that Phoenix was going to be giving him in their fan base. So if it just keeps trading off, I don't mind that kind of series going 7. That'd be a good finals, man.
Yeah, I want 7 games, man. And you know what that means? Scott Foster is going to be coming back as referee, man. The anti-Chris Paul, baby. He's going to be coming back, baby. This series is going to go longer, man. NBA needs that money, man.
Of course
that
they
is
do,
an
man.
insane stat that he's 0-12 with Scott.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Man. You don't think he could have won one game? That's just wild.
Dude, I think it's in their head, man.
He'll do game 6 when the
Suns. It's going to happen, man. He's going to be back, and the streak is going to continue, man.
Yeah,
I love streaks like this.
They'll put him on game 6 when the Suns are up 3-2.
Yeah,
that's what I think. They're going to put.
I think it's very realistic.
Because to that point, right? It's not putting him as game 7, which is the pivotal game, right? They just want it to make it to a game 7, right? Oh, yeah, so you put him on game 6, and the Bucks pull it out. In the end. Hey, allegedly.
Yeah.
Got a caveat.
There is no humanly possible way that they would I know I could see a game 6, but if somehow he wasn't on game 6 and there was a game 7 and Scott Foster was Chris Paul being the president of the Players Association is not allowed. He would almost boycott. I mean, I don't think he'd boycott game 7, but it would be damn near close if that happened.
He might get a couple technicals, that's for sure.
Yeah. Just throw me out right now because I feel like I have no chance. I do think that's a mental mind game that Chris is going to have to overcome because this is kind of. I'm not a huge blame the refs guy, and I haven't watched enough Chris Paul games with Scott Foster to have an opinion. But that is a wild stat that he's 0-12 with Scott Foster refereeing. So I don't know. It's just something we have to look into. We were speaking about injuries earlier, and we're going to make this smooth transition into Kawhi and his. It was diagnosed as a sprained knee, which, come to find out, was a partially torn ACL. And
misdiagnosis, man.
Yeah, that's a crazy misdiagnosis considering it's your star player, and it's a guy who's had his battles with the San Antonio Spurs in terms of not trusting the doctor and things like that. So it's pretty interesting that the Clippers, I guess promised them all this stuff about their medical team being great, and this is what they did. So Kawhi has so many options. He has these opt-outs, opt-ins. I'm not really smart enough to know about all the options he has in terms of what he should do, but I would ask the guys, if you were Kawhi or, if you're the GM, whatever role you want to play, what would you do? Would you, give them the, extension, opt in, do whatever? Would you do a 1-and-1? Would you let him walk. How would you play this Kawhi situation? Zoo, I'm going to ask you that.
Max contract, baby. Max contract, man. Superstars make the game. The Los Angeles Clippers do not own their first-round pick for like the next half decade, man. Like, you can't even rebuild if you wanted it to rebuild. You went all in with Kawhi Leonard. You built a pretty damn good roster around him. You got the second star, great role players, shooters and defenders. You even got some bigs and smalls, 3-and-D type guys. Clippers are loaded. Like, if they stay healthy, I think they would have won it all, especially this year. This year, my God, they had the biggest upset I've ever seen with the Utah Jazz after Kawhi Leonard got injured. They won 2 straight games against the Utah Jazz, who was balling. So this Clippers team is locked and loaded, and they gave up their future for the present, and you got to take that risk in the NBA. You got to go all in. When you're trying to win that championship, you got to put all your chips in the middle. If you got reserve chips, you ain't winning at all. You can't have reserves on deck. You got to go all in. And I applaud Steve Ballmer for going all in. And if Kawhi Leonard stays healthy, which is a big F because this dude has he got a history of knee injuries. And it's piling up right now.
Yeah.
At the ankle injury, knee injury, like San Antonio Spurs, oh my goodness. Like his history of injuries are getting longer and longer, and he got a low pain tolerance. Like this dude, when he gets injured, he sits out games. So it might be in the last couple of years when Kawhi Leonard gets upper in age, it might hurt a little, but you're paying him $40 million. But if you give your chance to win a championship, you go all in. All in.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, that's what the Bucks did, right? We talked about that when they went all in for Drew Holiday, which has been a bit of a shaky start with their relationship so far. But hey, they're in the finals.
If they win it all, it's all worth it. 160.
It doesn't matter. Exactly. Everybody will say it's the greatest trade of all time, right? They'll set aside his 3-for-19 game, and things will move on to the 2021 NBA season. So, but. No, Zoo, I agree with you. You got to pay up. There's reasons Steve Baldwin's a billionaire. He takes risks, right? We saw the risk nearly pay off. I think, Zoo, I agree with you once again. If Kawhi stays healthy, if Zubac, stays healthy, I think that they have the best shot to beat the Suns and knock them out of the West, and then subsequently take out the Bucks. It was a season of injuries, and the Clippers, unfortunately, were one of the last teams to succumb to those injuries, and it was just at the worst time. Right now, as you said, Zoo, I mean, he's got, I don't like how he handles his injuries. And I don't know if I'd call it a low pain tolerance. I think look, man, his body's his career, and you have to treat it that way, right? Or else he's done making money. Now, granted, he's set to make $103 million over the past 2 years, and then upcoming this year. It's a damn a lot of money, and you could live off of it for the rest of your life. But Kawhi wants another championship. He's that type of a competitive person. He does not care if they win a couple games in Western semis or Western Conference Finals. He wants the championship. We've seen him win a couple already. But I think, man, he goes to a place and he wants to win them a championship. He has yet to do that for the Clippers. That would arguably be the biggest franchise to win a championship after one of these two teams that are in there right now wins. I mean, the Clippers, I don't think have ever won. No. And I don't think they've never been to a finals.
Never been to a finals.
Never been to a finals. So, look, I think it was one of their first Western Conference Finals this year,
ever,
right? And ever, yeah, there you go, first one. And they were without their best players. We've shouted out many times Paul George, massive performance for them. And if he stays playing that way, Clippers, book him, man. They're the favorite out of the West next year, in my opinion. I think unless the Lakers just pull off some unbelievable moves and get Damian Lillard or something like that, which, hey, man, you never know. With LeBron's recruiting, who the hell knows, man? But I agree, so you got to pay up for a guy like Kawhi. He's one of, there's not many players that get offered a player option. That's a big deal when you have your own decision, right? I think that's what's coming up, right, is his player option. Mm-hmm. I think it's Durant, LeBron, CP3, man. Those are 3 of the bigger guys that have gotten player options lately, and all rightfully so. So I think you do have to pay Kawhi. It could hurt down the road, as you said, Zoo. But look, man, you got to plan for the next 1 to 2 years because this is the best team that they've had in a long time.
Ever. I think ever.
For sure.
Definitely ever. I think, too, the momentum with the Clippers, like Kawhi, because a lot of people, I don't think, thought he was going to be signing with the Clippers when he did. So I think they're actually moving into a new building in the next couple of years. You kind of want to have some momentum going into the building, whether that's a championship or not. You got to have something to sell. Not saying Paul George couldn't sell, some type of tickets in the new arena, but you don't want to do that. But I just don't understand, or like Kawhi in terms of how he operates. I'm kind of out of the business of being like, okay, I think this is what he should do, because I just don't think he's wired like everyone else. Like, I think the LA factor and him being home, and I think I don't think he's from LA, but he's got a home in San Diego, so he's got all that going for him. I kind of understand that. Like, if I'm Kawhi, I'm going ahead and getting that whatever 4-year or whatever, and I'm signing that because I don't know what my health could be. But it wouldn't shock me if he opted out or did like a 1-and-1, and then maybe try, because I don't know if he comes back next year. Considering how he did with San Antonio, he has a partially torn ACL. That means that puts him probably around the playoffs. I don't see it, especially the Clippers without him, because I don't know who the Clippers are going, because Reggie Jackson's I don't think coming back. He's going to get a bag. Like, unless he wants to play for championships, I guess, and he's signed for less, somebody's going to give him a good contract, so he's out of there. If Terrence Mann takes a huge leap, maybe that changes some things, but I don't know where the Clippers are going to be because, like the West, man, it's so brutal. Everybody's going to be getting better. You figure Pelicans may come up, Memphis, they might have a shot in the play-in, but then it's like you're going to be looking at Kawhi like, okay, after we get to the play-in, you're going to be able to play. You're going to play these couple games to get us into the playoffs, so I don't know. It's going to be real interesting to see his timetable and how he comes back. But it would not shock me one bit if he opts out and goes somewhere else. Wouldn't shock me one bit. I wouldn't be like, oh, man, that's insane. Like, that's not news. I feel like Kawhi
he's a hard person to predict. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Look, man, he has no outside news coming at him.
Yeah, he got no leaking.
They ask him, they're like, you see your post or dunk on social media last night? He's like, no, I didn't, because I don't have social media, right? He's just got his family. He's got his job. And he's trying to preserve what he has for his job. That's why I know a lot of people think he was a drama queen in San Antonio, and I think there were instances of that for sure. I just think him and Pop didn't get along. But if you're injured, and it's I thought when it was first reported that it was reported as an ACL tear. I thought that's what they reported, and then they backtracked to a sprain, and now they're back to the partially.
There were
ACL.
fears of being
right. Yeah, exactly. That's all they were talking about. But then they say sprain. Now they're saying partially torn. Look, man, he could come back in 7 to 8 months. If he's got that, he's got the least amount of outside noise ever. He can just focus. And I think that helps a lot. Not saying that it makes you get better faster, but he just doesn't have to focus on any of the stupid stuff and can really just focus on getting better, training, rehab, and all that stuff, getting through the surgery and all that. So, I mean, I wouldn't blame him if he leaves, but at the same time, this could be the best place he could go to where they somehow now apparently have some chemistry on the Los Angeles Clippers. Who would have known after the bubble playoffs last year, man? They had zero chemistry. And then a couple, half a year later, man, and they're in the Western Conference Finals. So this could be his best spot. But as you said, Sean, unpredictable.
Man, if Kawhi Leonard leaves, I'll be the biggest middle finger ever to his city, man. He would have screwed over that franchise because they gave him everything that he wanted. Dude, they fired the coach for him, man. They got the second star for him, man. They got the role players for him. Like, he got everything he wanted. And if he bounces after 2 years, that would look so bad, man. He wanted to play at home. He's from the LA area, man. He had it all. If he leaves,
hey, they knew that he was getting a player option. He did that for a reason.
Man, that'll be crazy.
And he's that good. He's that good because you saw what he did in a one and done with Toronto. And the Clippers are like, hell yeah, sign me up for that.
Man, I just thought of it. What if he goes to the Dallas Mavericks? They have cap space.
Possible. That'd be nasty.
Kawhi Leonard likes Luka Doncic, man. He's got a lot of respect for him after that playoff series, man. A guy dropping 40, 10, and 8 on a regular basis. Kawhi Leonard and Luka Doncic.
Oof. That'd be a nasty combo. But you know what? They need to ship Kristaps out to get some other young stud in, man, because I don't give a damn if Kristaps is your third option. It's still not good enough, man.
Man, got to make a call to the Sacramento Kings, man. Got to make some calls to the dumb franchises to see if they make a move for Kristaps.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, well, speaking of moves, transition to this last topic. Lonzo Ball, who, came into the league with a lot of hype. I felt like he was a little overwhelmed in LA, got traded to the Pelicans, and he's really improved his game. Now, I haven't watched Lonzo as much when he went to New Orleans, but, looking over some of his stats, he really improved his three-point percentage by a lot. it's kind of an average free throw shooter, which I guess he can improve on. But his calling card is defense. But the thing about him is he's improved in so many areas that now I think teams are gauging interest in like him being like a cog or a fit. I've seen, of course, Chicago. I've seen the Lakers. I've seen the Clippers. I've seen Golden State. I've seen so many teams look at, and I think too, whoever ends up offering him, I think the word out is they're not. I think New Orleans is less likely to match. So whoever gives him the type of contract that he wants, he's probably going to sign and going to that team. So I wanted to ask the guys. I already know where they're going, but just for fun, I wanted to ask the guys what they think is the best fit for Lonzo Ball in, I guess, his type of role as a starter with a potentially new team. And Pete Bush, I'm going to start with you. Or, Joe, I'm sorry with you. Where you going?
The Chicago Bulls, baby. We need a true point guard that can hit three-pointers and play defense and is pass first, man. Him and Zach LaVine would be a beautiful combination, man. This guy's got length, add some perimeter. He's a really good perimeter defender. He fixed his shot. Like, it's impressive. He works hard over the gym. Like, Ben Simmons could take some lessons from Lonzo Ball because the dude was shooting sideways, man. And now he shoots correctly, and he fixed his jump shot, man. This dude was Shaq-like from the free throw line. He was shooting less than 50% from the free throw line, and now he's an average free throw shooter in the 70s, man. The amount of improvement this guy has made year over year is incredible. This guy works hard. He loves playing basketball, and he puts in the work in the offseason. And you can just see from fixing that form, it is not easy when you've been shooting that shot your entire freaking life. And after a couple of summers, he shoots normally now, which is incredible compared to you watch his UCLA highlights, man. It's like a different player. Like legit, he's shooting sideways, and now he's got shooting good form. I'm just like, damn. Lonzo Ball's a 38% three-point shooter. Welcome to Chicago, man. Yeah. We're gonna give you a nice contract. We're gonna pay you well, Lonzo, because his upside, man. I don't even think he has his upside at all. This guy was the number 2 draft pick, man. His upside coming out of college, he was like people compared to a modern-day Jason Kidd, modern-day Jason Kidd, and I still believe he can reach that ceiling because he's got the length, he's got that athleticism, he's got a way better jump shot. Like he's got a way better jump shot. The only thing is Jason Kidd was more aggressive. Lonzo is more of a passive guy. If he gets a little more aggressive, gets a little more LaMelo Ball in his mind, man. Dude, he can be as good as LaMelo Ball because they came from the same dad, from the same mom, from the same ball house in Chino Hills, man. They got the same genetics. They're like the same player. They should be the same type of player, man. So will Lonzo Ball get a little more dog and a little more aggressiveness, man? Pair him with Zach LaVine. Those Zoops.
Vooch?
Oh, Vooch, man. Oh, my goodness, man. AK gotta get it done, man.
Yeah.
Kobe White, sit your back ass on the bench and be the 6th man that you are, man. Nothing wrong with being a 6th man, but that's your role. We get the starting point guard. I'm giving you $20+ million a year. Lonzo Ball.
100%.
I'm giving you a 5-year deal, $100 million.
Really?
Welcome.
I was thinking he might get like a 4-year, $90 million deal. Something like that. I could see him getting that, like 4 years, 22 and a half, a little bit. Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty standard one. 4 years, that's solid. He would still get another really good contract being in his prime, barring any major injuries, of course. But Zoo, I agree with you, man. He's got to come to Chicago. I mean, they're the biggest. That's their biggest need. It's been needed to be addressed for a couple of years now. They thought Kobe White was going to come in and do it. Kobe White's more of a microwave, man. He comes in and he'll give you 15 a game.
He's Jordan Clarkson.
He's Jordan Clarkson. He's a Lou Williams, a Jordan Clarkson, a Jamal Crawford, those types of players that just come in, they heat up quick, they get back on the bench, they give you 20, 25 minutes a game, but they make it efficiently scoring, right? Kobe White needs to step up. I think he needs to mature a bit. He's too happy on the court all the time. I hate to say that because I like to see players happy, but at the same time, man, it's your job. I know you're on a shitty team on the Bulls, but come on, man, have a little bit more maturity. And I think that was the difference with Lonzo Ball, Zoo. I think LA was too much for him. I think it was too overwhelming. Yeah, I think he needed to leave. He needed to go to a smaller market, kind of a younger team, less expectations, and just work on his game to earn his next contract. And he did it perfectly. I mean, I don't think you could argue that he did anything wrong in those couple years that he was down in New Orleans. I mean, he may have had, they didn't have the best record as a team or anything like that, but him as an individual, one of the best exponential increases of a player in the past 2 years, in my opinion. I think him and Julius Randle are the two that I've seen that really took massive steps forward. And look, Zoo, I was always told growing up, man, that once you have your jump shot and you wait later on to fix it, it is extremely difficult to learn to change your form, change that muscle memory, do it in fluidity, in motion, right? And he shoots 38% this past year, man. He had 8 threes in one game. That was a big highlight for him. I think that this year clearly earned him a nice fat, at least $18 million a year in a contract. I think he'll end up getting over 20, like you said, Zoo. But man, he's got to come to Chicago. I'm just nervous LA is going to outpay him. That's all I'm worried about. That's all.
LA?
Which one? The Clippers or the Lakers?
The Lakers.
They don't have enough money, man. They don't got. It would have to be a sign and trade.
They're going to do a sign and trade. I think they're going to pull
it
off.
Who would they give? Like, that's what
man, they don't want Kuzma.
That's true. I mean, it's tough on really good.
They gave up. A lot of people like
Lakers they pull it off all the time, man, and I have no idea how. But Zoo, AK pulls it off too. So
you know what I didn't think about? I just thought about this. He's represented by Clutch, so
he is.
I didn't even think about that.
He was out in LA to start, man.
Yeah.
He has ties to the Boston.
Rich Paul sent him to Chicago, man. He doesn't need LA more. LA Lonzo Ball was trash, man. I'm sorry, he was trash, man.
But he's a different player.
You know who I think is a dark horse? Is the Mavericks. I think he would look really good against beside Luka. A defensive guard that could take the best assignment. Luka could probably get off even more. And Luka needs a guy that could. That's like the perfect guy for Luka. He needs a guy that can spot up, shoot, play defense.
Because Luka can't really defend.
No, it's not even a conversation for Luka. Like he's never going to be able to do that. I mean,
you want two true point guards in the Dallas Mavericks.
Luka is masquerading, man. I don't like. He handles the ball, but he's not a. It's like he's like LeBron.
LeBron is a point, man. He's been playing point for the past couple years.
I think LeBron is more of a point forward. He handles the ball, but I mean, he passes better than Luka. But Luka, to me, is just it's like Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard handles the ball a lot. He plays point because he's short, but he's not a point guard. He's a scorer.
Yeah, he's more of he's an AI type, same type of
thing. They just handle the ball a lot.
Luka's just bigger.
Yeah.
Between the two. That'd be a nasty combo, though, Sean. I agree.
I just thought about that.
Cuban's always thinking of random stuff like that, too.
Better do something, man. Luka Doncic, you don't want it piss him off, man. He might not return to the Mavericks.
That's true.
Right?
That's why it might be better for them to go for Kawhi Leonard if he's willing to walk.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that
between Kawhi and Man, that would be crazy.
And Lonzo's not at the point in his career where he's going to take less money, right, to go wherever. He's going to go with whoever can give him the most. Obviously, like you guys said, Lakers would need to do a sign and trade. I think they'd be open to it. He likes being. I know at first he didn't like being in the limelight, but the Ball family in general likes to be in the limelight. I think Lonzo is the quietest of them all, and I think that helped him with his work ethic. But look, he could go. Those are big markets at his disposal. He's at a tiny market right now. He needs to upgrade.
He wants to go to a big market again.
And it's got to be either.
Baby. He ain't going to the Knicks.
He could go to the Knicks too.
Nah,
who knows, man?
They got point guards up there, man. They don't want to clog up the point guard.
That's true.
They got D Rose and Emmanuel quickly.
Hey, but him and Julius had played in LA together, man. So
played in LA, and they're both Pelicans.
Yeah. So they have a little. Yeah, they might be on the phone a little bit, Zoo, but then again, he is restricted. So it really just comes down to who wants to outbid the Pelicans. But it seems like they're not gonna, as you guys said.
That's great.
They're probably not gonna match.
I'm surprised David Griffin,
which is kind of surprising,
having a leak out that they're not gonna match a substantial contract for Lonzo.
I don't understand why they don't.
He's one of the bigger assets they got in the AD trade.
I don't know. Who's going to be the point guard?
They might be trying to save up to bring in somebody big to pair up with Zion, but at the same time,
and they did try the Zion at point last year, and it was somewhat successful.
All right,
so they might be trying.
Zion playing point. I'm not watching NBA next year, man. I'm sorry. I'm just not watching Zion at point. He can bring the ball up every once in a while, but him initiating offense, I just don't want to see that.
I'd rather trust Jokic with that.
Yeah, I'd rather have Jokic running around doing that stuff than Zion. Not saying Zion couldn't develop that, but right now at this stage of his career,
now.
I don't want to see him doing that. So I think what we established is that Lonzo is a good fit around like the entire league. So, it's going to be interesting thinking about the clutch factor. I think they would want him to be in a big market. So, that's probably that might eliminate some teams that can maybe be. I mean, Dallas is kind of a big market, but I think that's what they're going to try to gear towards. So, interested to see where he ends up signing, how that all plays out. Like I said, the NBA Finals are on right now. Right now it's in halftime. I'm not sure who's even winning. I kind of came to see the score, but
it's tied at half.
Yeah. Pretty sure the next time we talk to you guys, depending on how the series goes, we might be able to get an episode in maybe around game 6 or 7. We'll see. But as usual, you guys make sure you subscribe to our Instagram page, bullheaded_pod. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bullheaded Podcast. Like I said, we're on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, the whole 9. And as usual, for me, P. Bush and Zoo, we're out.